5 days had passed since Theo began collecting sacred herbs and hunting magic beasts. Purple willows, green and purple bushes, and brooks surrounded him, matching Iris's description of the area perfectly. The 7 silver scaled snake was skilled at concealing itself, making it wiser for Theo to wait rather than search actively. Using vibrations in the ground to detect prey, Theo planned to attract the snake's attention by stomping. He even employed an advancement technique to lower his training level, appearing as an easy target for the snake to catch. Theo sensed something sneaking up on him and reacted swiftly as the snake approached from behind. With a sudden jump, he managed to dodge the snake's attempted bite. Angered, the snake tried to use its venom, but Theo advised against wasting it. Taking action, Theo attacked the snake and decisively cut off its head using a sword. The 7 silver scaled snake's venom is potent, instantly paralyzing the body and stopping the heart. Its nidin with gold attributes and silver-colored scales are valuable, but Theo's immediate focus was on extracting the venom. Suddenly, the snake came back to life and attempted to attack Theo. In response, Theo slapped the snake and sternly exclaimed, "How dare you!" There are instances where snake-type magic beasts continue moving even after their heads are severed. Theo, grateful, had prepared and activated his spirit barrier. After successfully extracting all the venom, he contemplated whether to remove the fangs as well. Determined, he decided to take the nidin and the scales too. Setting the snake on fire, Theo swiftly departed the area, reflecting on the valuable information provided by Iris despite finding it challenging to trust her. Theo noticed a cave and wondered if a magic beast resided within it. Upon entering, he found the cave to be relatively small with no signs of any magic beast. Deciding to set up his magical trap in the cave and create manhwa's elixirs there, Theo felt confident with the abundance of sacred herbs from his purchases in Huijing and Wyong, along with manhwa's collections. He believed that the nidin of the 7 silver-scaled snake, with its gold attributes, would be ideal for an elixir. With improvements in his Dan extraction technique and the purity of fire, Theo anticipated producing a substantial amount of elixir quickly. It was straightforward for Theo to mass-produce advanced Heavenly Birth Alchemist's elixirs, but utilizing a superior magic beast's nidin required a significant amount of mental energy since it was his first time. Theo contemplated feeding Wanwan 5 pills to assess the effects of the elixir. Calling Wanwan, he noticed Wanwan's habit of inspecting any elixir he encountered. Wanwan's reaction to this elixir was different from his response to the gold elixir, prompting Theo to wonder if Wanwan now had higher standards. Theo noticed Wanwan and remarked that his appetite had become pickier since having the gold elixir. Despite this, Theo encouraged Wanwan to eat the elixir, emphasizing its benefits. Observing Wanwan's hesitation, Theo decided not to force him and prepared to take it away. To his surprise, Wanwan began gulping it down eagerly. Theo opted to wait and then feed him the remainder of the elixir. Theo considered that feeding Wanwan a few more elixir pills shouldn't be an issue. However, he acknowledged that giving elixir to a magic beast could be challenging, so there was no need to rush. Theo decided to wait about a week before feeding the rest of the elixir to Wanwan. The only elixir left was the precious one from the 7 silver-scaled snake, a concoction he had never shown Wanwan before. Wanwan suddenly noticed Theo's elixir and attempted to eat it, prompting Theo to dodge and exclaim, "Hey!" Theo recognized Wanwan's talent for identifying rare items. Theo then gave the elixir to Wanwan, saying, "Here you go." Wanwan happily consumed the elixir, living his best life. Theo decided to focus on the snake venom. He knew that poison was a powerful weapon for superior magic beasts, and this venom was the strongest he had seen in a long time. Instead of feeling nervous, Theo was excited to see how much stronger he would become. Theo grabbed a needle to test the venom. He knew that even a tiny dose could be deadly to a normal person. As an experiment, he diluted the venom in water for the first time, but it didn't seem to have any effect. Theo decided to try the undiluted venom next. Initially feeling fine, he then felt increasingly drowsy. Eventually, Theo lost consciousness. Theo woke up feeling something damp, a sensation that seemed familiar. Wanwan was licking Theo's face. Theo realized he had fallen asleep once more. Recalling that he had injected 10 more drops of the venom after the initial dosage, he noted a slight migraine but confirmed that there were no physical issues. Reflecting on the venom from the 7 silver-scaled snake, Theo understood that it was a paralyzing poison that could cloud the mind and dull the senses. Theo mentioned having a profoundly drowsy sensation as he fell asleep. Not being someone who sleeps often, It had been a while since he had slept as deeply as he just had. Theo reassured himself that everything seemed fine, and he believed that paralyzing venoms wouldn't pose a significant threat to him going forward. Theo noticed Wanwan scraping the wall with his paw and wondered if Wanwan was bored. Despite only scratching the walls, the marks left were quite deep. Concerned if Wanwan had fully digested the elixirs, Theo decided to inspect him. Calling Wanwan over, Theo realized that Wanwan wasn't listening to him, which made him increasingly frustrated. Theo used his binding seal on Wanwan and questioned if he felt stronger after consuming the elixir. Observing Wanwan squirming, Theo suspected that the inner binding seal had been weakened. He challenged Wanwan, asking if he desired to break free from the seal and demonstrate his newfound strength. Theo contemplated whether to seize the opportunity and gradually enhance the level of the binding seal. However, Wanwan showed no reaction at first, leading Theo to wonder if he had given up. Suddenly, Wanwan broke the seal. Although Theo hadn't used the strongest seal, he realized that the old Wanwan would never have been capable of such a feat. Wanwan had improved and encouraged him to demonstrate his progress. Wanwan attacked Theo, catching his attention. Theo observed a familiar shape, similar to the Genesis sword but with slightly different coloration. Wanwan even replicated the flying swallow energy strike technique. Although not as potent as the destruction sword arts, the attack still carried significant force. Theo acknowledged Wanwan's attempt to replicate his techniques, recognizing him as a unique beast. Although Wanwan couldn't penetrate his barrier, the attack showed considerable power. Theo believed that Wanwan had taken a step closer to becoming a high-class magic beast. While not yet reaching the highest class, Theo appreciated Wanwan's progress, considering his lack of experience and young age, deeming him one of a kind. Theo decided to give Wanwan more elixirs since they had proven effective, hoping Wanwan would become stronger and more useful. Theo shared his concern about the possibility of Wanwan surpassing him in the future. Furthermore, Theo hadn't utilized the sacred needle of wisdom until now, realizing its usefulness. The needle reacted vigorously in areas abundant with spirit stones or sacred herbs, indicating valuable resources in those locations. Theo realized how Vicky managed to reach the breath of the sun at such a young age. It was the sacred needle of wisdom. This needle instilled Vicky with the confidence to find the treasure and the courage to venture into the lake that even the Wei family and the residents of Mountain Willow Manor avoided due to the tragedy involving the Yi family from Yan'an. Understanding the significance of this incredible item, Theo recognized its irreplaceable value. The sacred needle of wisdom guided him to areas with denser spiritual energy, narrowing down his search range unlike Wanwan. Determined, Theo decided to gather every single sacred herb in the forest. Theo contemplated hunting every magic beast he encountered, despite feeling conflicted. Considering the abundant resources in the area compared to the Yan'an region, he pondered staying there for a while to not miss out on anything. With the help of the sacred needle of wisdom, Theo noticed an improvement in the quality of the herbs. Previously, the herbs were either in the stages of Dan development or had just reached heavenly birth. Now, most of them were at the heavenly birth stage. Theo wondered about the next sacred herb he would discover, occasionally finding herbs suitable for the law of spirit energy when luck was on his side. Theo sensed an unusual force nearby and wondered if someone was battling a magic beast. He noticed an alchemist instructing others to stay behind for safety. Observing the scene, Theo identified the alchemists of Mount White sect engaged in a defensive struggle. Although hesitant to interfere, Theo found watching a fight intriguing and potentially beneficial. He contemplated whether to observe for a while longer. The creatures causing trouble were angry monkeys, among the strongest high-level magic beasts. When attacking in groups, even 2 or 3 alchemists wouldn't be sufficient to defeat them. These monkeys were challenging opponents due to their bad temper and intelligence. Theo anticipated something exciting to unfold, but the alchemists were preoccupied with safeguarding their disciples, unable to launch a counterattack. Theo had been eager to witness the alchemy techniques they would employ in such a situation. Theo understood the significance of protecting one's disciples in such situations. If the alchemists were alone, they could have attacked or fled if needed, but their commitment to safeguarding their disciples limited their options. A woman alchemist urged her master to focus on attacking while she and another disciple assured him they would manage. However, the master was reluctant to make a move, concerned about potential injuries to his disciples. Despite his reservations, he hoped his plan involving amulets would succeed as he used them to defend against the angry monkeys. Theo observed the ongoing attack, realizing that it would only further enrage the angry monkeys. However, being from the Mount White sect, he anticipated that they must have a plan. The master commanded the disciples to perform the quaternary palace technique. Theo recognized that they had concentrated their spirit power to enhance their attack strength significantly. Simultaneously, they erected a spirit barrier for self-protection. Theo noted that they were channeling energy received from the two disciples behind them. Theo felt disappointed as the alchemists seemed to throw out talismans hastily, but he acknowledged the incredible techniques and alchemy of the sect. Despite knowing it would strain his body, Theo managed to gather a force equivalent to that of an alchemist in their final stages of the law of spirit energy. He understood that such a technique required training together, leaving him only able to admire their coordination from a distance. The master observed that the monkeys were persistently attacking instead of fleeing, contrary to his expectations. He had assumed they would retreat upon witnessing a powerful skill capable of defeating them. Realizing that these monkeys sought revenge for their fallen comrades, he grew anxious. Concerned about his physical limits, the master hesitated to employ the technique once more due to its toll on his body. With only a few monkeys remaining, the situation intensified. Following the master's command, the disciples swiftly undid the technique and proceeded to eliminate the remaining monkeys. With a resolute, "Understood, Master," they engaged in battle, eventually emerging victorious as the monkeys were defeated. Lance inquired about the master's well-being, expressing concern. The master assured him that he was all right but mentioned the need to drink an elixir of purity, an elixir of second life, and focus on recovery for a few years upon returning. Lance, relieved by the master's response, expressed his happiness that the situation was not more severe. The master noticed Lance's exhaustion and realized that as heavenly birth disciples, they likely didn't have access to the elixir of purity. Understanding the responsibility of a master to care for both himself and his disciples, the master decided to offer something to Lance. Handing something to Lance, the master insisted that he accept it. Lance hesitated, questioning how he could possibly take it from the master. However, the master encouraged him, mentioning Lance's dream of becoming the youngest alchemist to reach the law of spirit energy. Grateful for the support, Lance expressed his thanks to the master. Another elder master pondered, struggling to eat his own elixir after witnessing the master's selfless act of giving the elixir to his disciple. Unwilling to become a selfish master who hoarded resources, he decided to offer the elixir to Molly. Molly, displaying a selfless attitude, insisted that she was fine and encouraged the elder master to take the elixir instead. Surprised, the elder master asked if she was sure, to which Molly confidently affirmed her decision. Unlike Lance, who accepted the elixir immediately, Molly's compassionate nature shone through as she delayed taking the elixir when offered. The elder master was taken aback as Lance unexpectedly betrayed the master by killing him. Outraged, the elder master confronted Lance, questioning his actions. Despite Lance's attack, the elder master managed to shield himself using a barrier. Lance taunted the elder master, dismissing the strength of the barrier. Observing Lance's technique, the elder master realized that Lance hadn't invested his spirit into the attack at all. Furthermore, the elder master noted that Lance had even taken the elixir of purity, adding to his suspicions. Lance expressed that the sacrifices made by Molly, her master, and himself were worthy of shedding a tear or two. He vowed to share the events that transpired with the other disciples before tragically attacking and ultimately perishing in his confrontation with Molly's master. Molly, fueled by anger, attempted to attack Lance, but he warned her against taking action. She accused him of being consumed by greed and questioned if he truly needed to go to such lengths. Lance admitted that he hadn't initially intended to go so far, but the opportunity to acquire the nadens from over 30 monkeys was too tempting to pass up. Additionally, he justified his actions by mentioning the numerous other magic beasts they had already hunted in the forest. Molly had admired Lance for his wisdom and talent, but her feelings had deepened when he willingly took on the task of hunting magic beasts. Feeling conflicted, Molly confronted Lance, questioning if he intended to harm her. Lance coldly admitted that he did plan to kill her to keep the events a secret. He explained that upon returning, he would be required to submit the pouch of abundance immediately, posing a dilemma for him. Standing near his master's body, Lance contemplated his situation, recognizing that his reputation within the sect was too elevated for a simple transfer to another sect. He turned to Molly, seeking her opinion on his predicament. Molly expressed her dismay at Lance's deceitful actions, condemning him for bringing shame upon their master and tarnishing the sect's reputation. In a fit of anger, Lance kicked the body of his master, expressing disdain for what he perceived as the sect's misguided approach of nurturing overly empathetic alchemists and appointing incompetent elders. He believed that these factors hindered the sect's progress and ultimately led to their demise at the hands of individuals they underestimated. Provoked by his own words and the conversation with Molly, Lance made a definitive decision. He resolved that he no longer needed to return to the sect. With confidence in his abilities, he planned to seek membership in any sect of his choosing, envisioning a fresh start elsewhere. Molly realized that being aware of Lance's intentions meant she was now in grave danger of being killed by him. She blamed herself for not recognizing his true nature earlier. Filled with self-reproach, she lamented her inability to act while he murdered her master and his senior. Although she desired revenge, Molly knew she had depleted all her energy during the Quaternary Palace technique. She acknowledged that she wouldn't survive the journey back to the sect alive. Lance bid farewell to Molly before being attacked and falling to the ground. Theo appeared, visibly upset by the situation. Theo, despite initially being indifferent to their fate, felt compelled to step in upon witnessing the escalation of violence between them. Molly watched in astonishment as Theo appeared calm after defeating Lance. She wondered about Theo's mastery level in the law of spirit energy, suspecting him to be an alchemist of considerable skill, possibly even stronger than Lance. Despite feeling a bit anxious, Molly realized Theo had not harmed her, leading her to question if he had assisted her. Theo straightforwardly admitted to killing Lance, prompting Molly to question the distinction between helping and killing. Theo clarified that his actions were driven by a disdain for those who harm their mentors, a sentiment Molly shared, fostering a sense of understanding between them. Theo contemplated the value of 30 nadens compared to the law of spirit energy alchemist's pouch of abundance, acknowledging the latter's greater worth. Inquiring about the master's disciples, Theo asked Molly if there were any others besides the one he had just defeated. Molly explained that the elders of the Mount White sect typically only accepted one disciple unless there was a specific and compelling reason to take on more than one. Theo inquired about the master's family, wanting to know if he had any dependents. Molly confirmed that the master was unmarried. Theo then asked about the fate of the master's pouch of abundance, wondering who would inherit it. Molly, uncertain, suggested that it would likely be returned to the sect. Theo then proposed taking the pouch, implying that it wouldn't pose a problem if it was destined for the sect. Molly, taken aback by this suggestion, stammered in surprise, expressing her hesitation. Molly realized that Theo was planning to take the pouch of abundance, which would complicate the situation if she returned the bodies without it. She worried about facing questions from the sect about the missing pouch. Uncertain how to handle the dilemma, Molly hesitantly informed Theo that if he took the pouch, she would have to explain its absence, risking suspicion falling on her. She emphasized that she would have no choice but to reveal his involvement. Upon hearing Molly's concerns, Theo acknowledged the complexity of the situation, finding the potential repercussions troublesome. Molly contemplated the dire situation she was in. She realized that if Theo killed her, he could easily take all the pouches without facing any obstacles. Moreover, if she perished there, all the bodies, including hers, would likely become food for magic beasts, with the truth of the events remaining hidden. Faced with these grim possibilities, Molly understood that her survival was crucial in order to ensure that the truth of the situation was revealed and not buried in secrecy. Molly, in a moment of quick thinking, proposed a solution to Theo. She suggested that the sect typically provided first-time hunters with the location of a superior-class magic beast. Molly reasoned that although the bodies would need to be returned, a master could have distributed their nadens to their disciples. With this in mind, she suggested reporting that Lance had orchestrated everything before the hunting expedition began. This way, Theo could take the naden and bodies of the magic beast without raising suspicion. Theo questioned Molly's willingness to offer both nadens to him, even though one was supposed to be hers. Caught off guard, Molly's thoughts raced. She worried that Theo might suspect her of trying to silence him to keep the truth hidden. Reflecting on Theo's actions, she considered that while he had swiftly dealt with Lance for killing his own master impulsively, his immediate interest in the pouch of abundance hinted at his underlying anxiety. Theo decided to take the carcasses and both nadens, but upon realizing that one of the nadens was meant for Molly, he chose to leave one for her. Molly expressed her gratitude for his understanding and gesture. Relieved by Theo's considerate actions, Molly's initial worries eased as she realized that he wasn't as ruthless as she had feared. Theo announced his intention to gather all the carcasses at that moment. As Molly observed his actions, she pondered the value of a high-class magic beast's Niden to an alchemist, realizing that Theo willingly relinquished one. This act of generosity led her to conclude that he was not as malevolent as Lance. However, Molly acknowledged that while Theo wasn't evil like Lance, his attempt to seize the Elder Master's pouches and his current actions of collecting the monkey carcasses indicated that he wasn't entirely angelic either. Molly reminisced about her master and the Elder Master, both formidable enough to defend against a heavenly birth alchemist. She recalled her master's words, urging her to progress in the law of spirit energy and warning that the higher an alchemist's stage, the younger they faced mortality. Despite her master's encouragement, Molly tearfully remembered their time together, feeling the weight of their guidance and the daunting journey ahead in mastering the law of spirit energy. Theo inquired if Molly had completed collecting the corpses and then handed her an elixir, revealing it was the elixir of purity her master had attempted to acquire. Overwhelmed by the significance of the elixir, known for its healing properties, Molly realized that her energy was depleted and her recovery rate was minimal. Grasping the urgency of her situation, she understood that taking the elixir was crucial for her survival and escape from the forest. Observing Molly's depleted energy, Theo contemplated offering her some precious petal elixirs. Concerned for her well-being, he decided to give her the elixirs. Meanwhile, Molly hesitated momentarily, questioning if the elixirs were safe to consume. However, she rationalized that if Theo intended harm, he would have already acted. Understanding the importance of trust, Molly accepted the elixirs graciously, expressing her gratitude. Molly realized that the precious petal elixirs were as potent as the elixir of purity and that Theo had given her 2 of them. Despite her gratitude, the sudden influx of elixirs overwhelmed her, causing her to lose consciousness. Concerned, Theo rushed to her side, realizing his mistake in giving her the elixirs. He recognized that Molly was in immense pain as her spirit energy became destabilized due to the excessive intake of elixirs. Theo, realizing the gravity of the situation, decided to stabilize Molly's spirit energy using his own. Concentrating all his energy, he worked to balance and stabilize her spirit energy. Despite the challenge posed by the excessive intake of elixirs, he managed to slow down the overflow for the time being, ensuring Molly's well-being. Acknowledging the presence of alchemists and magic beasts in the area, Theo understood the need to find a suitable location to treat Molly effectively. In a cave, Molly regained consciousness and recollected encountering a senior. Initially worried if something had happened to her, she realized that her body was unharmed, thanks to the senior's intervention. Grateful for being alive, she felt the need to express her gratitude properly. As she pondered reporting back to the sect and the importance of Theo's testimony against Lance, Molly wondered about her current location and if the senior had departed. Deciding to rest a bit more before leaving the forest, she contemplated if the senior had truly left. Despite these uncertainties, Molly felt confident that she would be able to return to the sect safely. Theo emerged and inquired if Molly could find her way back alone. Molly noticed the magic trap he had prepared at the entrance. Theo, noticing Molly's well-being, remarked on her condition. In a moment of urgency and gratitude, Molly pleaded with Theo to accompany her to the sect. Theo expressed his reluctance to visit the Mount White sect, reflecting on his actions against Lance. While he justified his actions due to Lance's serious transgressions, he acknowledged the gravity of the situation with the deaths of 2 Law of Spirit Energy alchemists. Anticipating that the sect would conduct a thorough investigation where his involvement might be revealed, Theo felt concerned about the potential consequences. Theo contemplated the idea of visiting Mount White and eventually agreed that it might be beneficial. Molly, surprised by his decision, asked if he was certain about accompanying her and inquired if he had been to Mount White before. Theo admitted that he hadn't been there previously. Assuring Theo that he wouldn't regret the visit, Molly expressed optimism about their journey to Mount White sect. Molly recounted the origins of Mount White, explaining how the ancestor and founder of the sect scoured the Yeyang province in search of the most magnificent mountain rich in spirit energy. His quest led him to Mount White, where the sect was established. Intrigued, Theo questioned the term ancestor, prompting Molly to elaborate. She shared the legend that the ancestor had attained the vital balance of yin and yang, with some believing he even transcended to a divine state, earning reverence and awe from those within the sect. They reached their destination, where a young man greeted them, expressing relief at Molly's return but inquiring about the others. Molly hesitated to discuss the matter openly and was advised by the young man to proceed upstairs for privacy. Upon reaching upstairs, Molly introduced Theo as a senior on official business. A woman welcomed Theo and issued a strict rule against teleportation alchemy without the presence of sect members. Theo acknowledged the rule, indicating his understanding and compliance with the sect's regulations. Molly expressed her desire to meet the Lord, and Theo introduced himself as well. Sergio, the Lord of Legislation, identified himself. Sergio found it peculiar that he had no prior knowledge of a law of spirit energy alchemist in the Yang province. He pondered the existence of a young alchemist of such caliber within their midst. Sergio inquired about the reason for their visit, prompting Molly to explain the unfortunate incident that occurred in the forest. She revealed bringing 3 corpses with her and placing them just outside. Surprised, Sergio questioned Molly about the presence of the corpses. Molly confirmed that indeed she had brought the corpses with her. Sergio, curious about the circumstances surrounding the deaths, decided to investigate the matter personally. He asked the physician present for an explanation of the incident. The physician stated that they had confirmed that both the master and the elder master had died from a white thunder shot, and also noted internal damage. Sergio acknowledged the physician's report, indicating his understanding of the situation. The physician, analyzing the evidence, concluded that the white thunder shot traces indicated a disciple as the perpetrator. However, they were unsure if it was Lance or Molly who had committed the act.
Go, go.